Okay. All right. So this is obviously the banned webinar by LinkedIn. We were kind of seeing that we were getting suppressed here. So we guess we're not surprised. We don't have great people, a volume of the people that opted in probably seeing notifications, but we're gonna chug ahead and then we'll resend them the video afterwards. I'm Michael and this is Noah from Ops.ai. And we built the AI agent called Valet, which is basically a B2B go-to-market agent. And particularly, we focused on lead generation and outreach and campaign management are the principal skills inside of Ops.ai. What we're going to talk about today is how do you get like 10 to 20 conversations a month by hacking LinkedIn? LinkedIn does not love the fact that we're able to do some of this stuff, but it works very well. LinkedIn is a great spot for one thing. It's knowing who is where doing what at any given time. And other than that, they make it really difficult to use their platform. They suppress content. As we know, if you're making posts, there's lots of stuff we'll show you about how they suppress content, but then they also make it really difficult for you to connect with people and meet new people that look like your customer. Meanwhile, they have the most up-to-date record of who those people are and what they're doing. So we're going to show you how you can find accurate data on your ideal client using LinkedIn, how you can set up outbound LinkedIn campaigns so that you outreach to people. And we'll show you the common mistakes that people make and why some people kind of ruin this for the rest of us, but how you can do that while just starting conversations, not just pitch slapping, as they say, which is just throwing out a pitch to someone that doesn't want to hear it. We'll show you how you can create LinkedIn content to tell your story and how those two things tie in together, but also how you can kind of amplify LinkedIn content that we found. Early engagement is really important and how you can kind of like make sure that that happens. We'll also show you some what I would call black magic, where you can use data from LinkedIn to figure out what people are interested in or your competitors' data for your campaigns. Because what you want to first do is any campaign that you're doing outreach on, you want to find good data on people that think or might look like your customer. And then, part of that is that that's an easy thing that you can relate to people about. It's like, hey, you're interested in this, me too. And then, we're just going to lead with value in all of this. How do you create messaging that is valuable in both your content and your outreach so that people know that, hey, maybe you are someone that I want to talk to? If there's anything else that I miss here, great. I will do that. Let's see. I'm going to play it and then I'm going to minimize this. How's that? Oh, I'm going to do that. I think I have to do that first, actually. There we go. All right. So the first thing is, like we all get LinkedIn outreach from people where people add us and then they start like giving us a novel on what they are and what they're trying to sell us. And that just usually doesn't go anywhere. I mean, nobody responds to that. It's kind of annoying. So you want to like figure out how do I use the tools of LinkedIn and that are tools that are built for LinkedIn while providing value to people in advance because we want to start conversations with them and no one's going to talk to you if all you're doing is giving them an unsolicited novel or pitch on whatever you're doing. Um, I'm going to do one more thing here. Minimize that. Okay, that'll look a lot better. Now, the other way for, B2B, there's really two channels that are most effective. If you don't want to just spend money on ads and hope that you get conversion to that. B2B cold email is very, very complex. And we know this because we built Valet and Ops.ai to automate those processes. And even with that, email complexity is really, really still remains. We've eliminated a lot of that complexity, but the problem is that the email inbox is very, very noisy. So LinkedIn has some distinct advantages over using email outreach for B2B SaaS providers and AI providers, and anyone selling to other businesses. The one thing is you've got a profile on LinkedIn, and people, when they are invited to connect with you on LinkedIn, which is a first step, will check you out. So they can check out your profile and they can check out your company, and then they can decide to add you back. And you also have the opportunity when you invite someone to connect with you. So it is an invitation to send a message that is friendly or that is annoying. You can pick that. So there's some choices you can make. And then you can also automate follow-up to those messages. So the thing that LinkedIn has over email is that there's a little bit of trust involved. And so as long as you don't violate that trust, it can be a very, very powerful channel. Now, email can scale where you can send, thousands and thousands of emails a day, and you can't really do that on LinkedIn. I don't think you have to. And I think the quality of connections on LinkedIn and the quality of campaigns on LinkedIn can be much higher than email. So for that reason, we think this is a very, very important channel as LinkedIn. And that's why we've built LinkedOps.ai. And what we'll do is we're going to show you kind of like best practices around LinkedIn and how we've figured out how to get really good data out of LinkedIn, but still how to look like someone that, other people want to connect with and talk to and learn from. And that's really the precursor to eventually maybe doing business with you. So this is kind of our overall model. So if you think about what we're talking about the state where people are maybe not aware of you or your company, people that are, new to your world. So what we want to do is really first touch outreach and, content so that people can learn about you for the first time and become aware of you. And then we know that, buyers go through this process where they're maybe searching for a solution out in the world. And the first thing they got to be aware of is that you're someone that can solve a problem for them that they might be searching for an answer to. So that's why we use LinkedIn outreach, and that's why we use LinkedIn content to kind of find new people every single day and every single week that, become aware of us, and then maybe at some point consider doing work with us or asking us for help with a problem. Now, sometimes people are really ready to talk to us, and we've really done our job of targeting them right and giving them the right offer and message up front, and they'll book time with us or they'll sign up for whatever the thing is that we're asking them to sign up for. And that's where they jump right to a decision. Sometimes we have a more complex cycle, usually more expensive decision processes, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, those types of decisions, as opposed to 0 to, $100. So that requires a more complex sales process where they're interested, but then we've got to help them to come to a decision. And that's where you get them into kind of your sales process. But really for the purposes of this, what LinkedIn outreach is really first touch. It's the first time that people are going to get in touch with you, learn about you, become aware. And then what your goal is, I think, is yes, you want to get them to meet with you, but sometimes you just want to get them into your own owned media. And owned media would be examples of like a newsletter. You give them some sort of a value or a lead magnet they opt into, or you give them, a playbook or a guide or a calculator, whatever those things are that will show them, hey, I am known or I should be known for this thing that I do that might help you. So the key there is to create assets, if you will, that give away value in advance and demonstrate the thing that you want them to trust you for. So what we're going to do here is we're going to show you how to do the LinkedIn outreach and to create the content that gets that first touch out of the way. And then, our goal is really our call to action of, you can meet with me if you need to, if you're ready for that. And if not, get them off of LinkedIn into something that will nurture them over time. All right, so mistakes that people make on LinkedIn, I'll kind of pick up the pace here on this. One, they have a bad profile. Two, we've talked about this, they pitch before they give value. Three is they have no content. They're not investing any time into the platform. They don't have any content that tells their story, gives a clue as to their personality or why people might want to talk to them or what they're an expert in. And frankly, their content is stagnant. So nobody interacts with their content. Sometimes that means, well, your content isn't that interesting. And if someone else is interested in it, then I shouldn't be. So we'll show you kind of a way that we've learned how to amplify content that, you can do it with friends or you can also do it this way. No calls to action. So there's never any conversion. So again, you're not really giving anything. It's like, hey, PS, I write about this, jump into my newsletter. PS, I have this playbook that I spent 34 hours on. If you want it, comment and get it. You'll see those types of calls to action. And we're going to suggest that you always have a call to action in your content. And then, frankly, the other mistake people make is they get banned for sending too many invites. And there's a very easy way to fix this. All right. So here's how to hack LinkedIn to get everything you need out of it. And this is really the 1,000 foot view. One is you're going to want to upgrade your profile so it looks and says the right thing. Two is you can solve a lot of problems by subscribing to Sales Navigator, but a lot of people subscribe to Sales Navigator and they never get any value out of it because they don't know how to use it, and LinkedIn doesn't tell you how to use it, or the way they tell you is probably wrong. So we're going to show you the value of Sales Navigator, and part of it is using Sales Navigator in conjunction with a tool like Linked Ops, and we'll show you what Linked Ops is and how it can automate outreach, but it can also help you with your content, and it can also help you with even just engaging with your content on LinkedIn. Create value-based outreach. So we kind of talked about this. So we're going to give you like a framework. And at the end of this, actually, we've created a GPT that might be really valuable. And if you want it, you can opt into that and we'll give you access to the GPT for free. It's no cost or anything. But it'll help you create like 37 days worth of content, or actually ongoing content, but specifically it's trained on, a bunch of templates that have worked really well for us to create limitless content for LinkedIn. We'll talk about once you have that content, like what you do with it to post and amplify that high value content. And I think it is high value content when it's producing. And then we'll talk about the dark magic for data, because that's really, really important on LinkedIn. All right, first of all, just some tips. And this gentleman actually, Noah, thank you for providing this. I just straight up used his guide in lieu of our own. You have a certain amount of real estate on your profile. And I think this is actually consistent with the advice that we always provide people. So one is, your background image, people put like their boats or their kids or some random picture. What you want to do is create a banner in Canva that says, what you do and who you help and how you help them. That's what you want to be able to do on your background. He has some good advice around profile pictures. Use a clear, smiling headshot and brand color as the background. I probably need to update mine because I think I have a AI generated image of myself up there, and I've been told it looks a little bit mean sometimes, so I will update it one day. We'll figure out how to take a picture of myself smiling seriously. Um, Number four is interesting, which is that you now have the ability to put a custom link in, and this can be a call to action to your one spot where that you want get opt-in. We're going to suggest, for example, that you can put all of your value-driven content into your own newsletter, and using something like Beehive, for example. We use Beehive. There's also Kit, formerly known as ConvertKit, or Substack. But you want to get people to get your free stuff in one spot, and that's what you can use that link for. And also, number three is a really important thing, which is your headline. And most people just put their resume in there, like, "Hey, I'm a sales manager." What you want to do is you want to say, "Look, what do you do? Who do you help? And why they should trust you." Perfect. That's what we tell people all the time. There's also the about me, tell a story, show proof, give insights, great advice, and a call to action in the featured section of your LinkedIn profile is really helpful, where you can again drive them to what I would suggest is whether you're telling people it's for hey, this calculator I created that's really valuable to people, or a playbook or a framework, all of it should be delivered through your newsletter where you can continuously post and repost your content. So anything you create on LinkedIn as a really valuable post can also be in your newsletter. But it should also include a sequence of some sort with all the value-driven things, the giveaways that you're giving to people. And that way you're building your own list. You're getting people off of LinkedIn where they may or may not consistently see your content, sadly, unless you're doing outreach and unless you're amplifying content. As much as possible, you want to get them into an environment that you control, and that's owned media. So that's really kind of the two steps. It's like we do outreach and content, we have a great profile, and then we get them off of LinkedIn. Now, we mentioned that some people get banned because they send too many invites and they're trying to manually send invites all the time. There are secret limits, but they're kind of finally not so secret. We know that if you're just like a regular LinkedIn user or even a premium user, there's a little bit of like mystery as to how many invites you can send, and then you'll get like shut down. Well, now finally, and there used to be this thing called social selling score we would talk about. That's finally gone away. It was like, again, a black box. We didn't know if you behaved well, magically you would get more invites. And if you behaved poorly, magically you wouldn't. Who knows what poorly or well means? Really mysterious. Now at least we know. if you pay for Sales Navigator, you get a couple things. So if you go into, instead of getting premium, you get Sales Navigator, it exposes this search panel, and I'll show you how it actually looks in real life. But the benefit here is you can actually get really good data on who is where doing what. And a lot of times we'll use the account filters or the lead filters. Oh, no, I don't know if he got kicked out. Um, or he's in twice. Maybe he's on the move. You can use this to actually get good data on who is where doing what. And this is where you would search, geography, industry, company sizes, titles, or, other stuff that we'll show you in there to get a list of people at companies, or in the case of account filters, a list of companies that meet a certain criteria. Then the problem is, what do you do with this? And according to LinkedIn, not a heck of a lot. What they want you to do is go and poke around and look at those individuals and send them a one-off message. But what Sales Navigator does is, at least at a first level, exposes that data. The other thing Sales Navigator does is it keeps you out of trouble because you're giving them the $60 to $90 a month, depending if you go annual or not. They let you send 200 invites per week. They will also tell you that they let you send in-mails. And I think in-mails are kind of spammy, but we will use them as a last resort. And I'll show you where both of these come into play with Linked Ops and how you can use the data from Sales Navigator search in Linked Ops to automate your outreach and get your maximum 800 invites a month that turn into 160 or more first degree connections. And then you can deliver value to them directly. And that's really kind of a summary of where it goes. The other thing you'll notice up there is there's a plugin there called Podawa, and I'll talk about that as well later. Not a product that we own, but I think it's been really valuable for us. All right, so this is Ops, and Ops will allow you to do a few things. One, you can search for data on your ideal customer, similar to how you can in Sales Navigator, and you can find people at companies based upon where they're located, the industry they're in, and usually title, and sometimes other things like technology or how much money they've raised or how much revenue they have. So those are kind of the key things you can do with Ops. And then what do you do with that? Well, we have a sequence writer that you can use that's really, really good. And it follows a copywriting framework that gets conversion for cold outreach, whether it's email or LinkedIn. And then you'll see we have Linked Ops. And Linked Ops is a way that you can integrate this to your LinkedIn account, use the Sales Navigator search and limits, and you can automate outreach. That's a big summary of what it is. And Valet is our copilot that automates a lot of that. This is our sequence writer, and I will actually show you how it works. But very simply, you can get 75, 80% of the way towards good copy for email, and you can adjust that for the LinkedIn environment following a copywriting framework. And it basically takes information on who you are, what you do, who you help, how you help them, what do you do to help them, and problems you solve, and then the tone that you want to express to the world, and it'll write pretty good copy. And you can use this and out to LinkedIn campaigns. And then this is kind of what a LinkedIn campaign means. So when you're doing outreach, what we can do here is we can then take the data from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, probably as a first, and I'll show you some other ways to get really, really good data, but that's the first level of data. You would use Sales Navigator, create a search string, and then in Linked Ops, you would use that search criteria to bring people in. So it'll pull those contacts in to a campaign. And then what do you do with them? Well, you want to create an automation inside of Linked Ops. And then what it would do is anytime it would have a person going through your campaign, it would first, for example, we usually do this where you would have engagement. You would have it so that your profile visits their profile. And then your profile would like a post on LinkedIn. So we're automating that using some AI magic. And then because they're not first degree connections, we would invite them to connect with us. And inside of that, we would craft some sort of a message. Sometimes we don't send any message, it just depends. We can experiment with both. And then if they add you back, then they start to get your sequence and it'll follow up with automated outreach. And that's what Linked Ops does. Now, you can behave poorly in this, or you can behave great and have good messaging and value. Our choice is to try to bring value to people. There is another type of campaign you can do with this, by the way, which is first degree connection. So if you were a first degree connection of me, you probably got invited to this webinar where I don't have to invite you because you were already connected, and I can use Linked Ops in a separate campaign to straight up just invite people to something or message them. So that's another way you can do this. Typically, we'll withdraw after so many days. The other thing we have been doing is adding in InMail as a final step. So if someone does not connect with you within 30 days, you might as well use your InMail credits on Sales Navigator. So we will push some sort of a message through and see if that cracks open some new conversations or relationships. So that's basically what we can use linked ops for. And here's our goal. For every single LinkedIn personal account that we have connected to it, we know that we can do about 40 invites a day, 20 days a month. So 5 days a week. We usually don't send on weekends, but you can because we know we're capped at about 200 invites a month. So our goal then is basically to have max out our 800 invites a month. And our goal is to always have about 20% or more of them adding us back. So that way, every month, I'm adding an additional 160 new first degree connections. And then from there, delivering value to people and then trying to see like if you've done the right targeting. And we'll talk about more than just Sales Navigator. That's kind of like the basics of using Sales Navigator to come up with a good search criteria and using that as your list, so to speak. But there's other data we can also build from LinkedIn that I will talk about in the dark magic part of this. Um, our goal though is then get 5 to 15% of the people that are new first degree connections to talk to you and get on a call or, figure out of all those people every month, can I get 10 to 20 conversations a month? Um, Overall is really our typical goal that are legitimate, where they have a problem and they trust you because of your content and your messaging, and that they're legitimate prospects for you. And that's really the math around it. Let me do this. I'm going to show you quickly just live linked ops. So this is my linked ops account. And actually what I was doing is I was training my agent, but I'll get to that in a second. So you can see inside of linked ops, this is what I have. I've got a dashboard that kind of gives me an overview of all my campaign activity. And what is my campaign? Well, my campaign is kind of what I showed you. So a campaign typically has data, in this case that I've pulled in either from a list that I've uploaded. So I can upload, a CSV, I can upload a Sales Navigator search result. If you are using LinkedIn Recruiter, which some people do, you can also use those search criteria, which are interesting because that'll actually also open up the opportunity. Maybe you want to find talent, and you can use this to automate those sequences where you find people with certain skill sets or experience, and that can actually be very useful. If you have your data, like a list of first name, last name, company, LinkedIn URL, email, whatever other criteria you've assembled, you can also upload it from Google Sheets, or if we have to, we can connect with an API. Or of course, we've already connected this to Ops itself, which is basically our AI automation platform. Oh, I guess I'm not logged into my account. Or am I? I thought I was. That's weird. I guess I'm not. And you can log in with any email address, and you can use free basic to get a free account where you can do searches within the 100 million records that we have. We also have a data marketplace where we have pre-built data sets. All of our data sets have LinkedIn URLs for the individuals in those data sets. So for example, you might go in here and you might say, oh, I want to connect with people who have a certain interest, like, oh, PE-backed founders, I can acquire this list. And you can see it'll show up somewhere. Oh, it's weird. It's showing up over here for some reason. Do not know why. There we go. I noticed this today. It's an alphabetical thing. But I can also then do this. I can send it to a LinkedIn campaign, and it'll create a campaign inside of my linked ops. Okay, so for the purposes of this, I think I'm actually logged in incorrectly, but um, I've used basically a list derived from Sales Navigator. Here it's uploaded and verified all the people that are in that list. And then I create a sequence and I used an example where I'm going to engage with their profile. I'm going to send them some sort of an invite message. And then if they add me back on LinkedIn, they will get my follow-up message. If they don't, I can choose to also send in mails. And then, I can space out other messages. And I think what you want to do is really space them out. You don't want to do them bang, bang, bang back to back. Every day send someone a message because it gets really annoying if they haven't replied. And as soon as they reply to you, then these sequences stop. But that's typically what you'll use this for. You'll set a schedule, you'll pick the LinkedIn account that this is going to be associated with, and then you'll launch your campaign. And that's pretty much how campaigns are built, using data from LinkedIn. And then the question is like, what do you say? And I'll talk about that in a second. And then what role does content play? So the other thing you can do inside of LinkedOps is you can schedule your LinkedIn content. So you can create a post, you can add an image or a file. And the reason you would want to add a file is if you see carousels on LinkedIn, it's actually a PDF file. So if you generate a PDF file that is, multiple slides, so to speak, you can upload them with this, and you can even automate the first comment, which typically you will want maybe your call to action, or you will highlight like why you're excited about the post. And then you can schedule your content out. So very useful feature. It kind of deals with, how you publish at scale. So every day you don't have to go in there and post a new post. You can just schedule it out. So LinkedOps has the ability to automate outreach and to automate publishing. Now, the question becomes what you say. The other thing I will show you is this feature called agents. And agents are really interesting because what we can do is we can create multiple agents. And one of the agents I've created is a LinkedIn commenting agent. So I can make it so that anytime I have content, it will comment on the post. Or I can make it so that it's chat agent. And if somebody responds to my campaigns, I could create another agent if I feel comfortable with it that will reply to people in my posts. And the way that works is I've integrated this. I've trained the agent on my company, my tone of voice, like given examples of how I would respond to certain types of messages. And then I've also integrated this to my OpenAI, like ChatGPT's OpenAI account. So it uses AI to sound like me. So LinkedOps has got a few really neat features, um, including campaign automation, content automation, and then even you can have a BDR agent that replies to messages, and you can even comment on posts on LinkedIn. So those are all kind of the capabilities of LinkedOps. Going back to best practices, we'll just jump back in here. If there's any questions about that. And you can try out Ops itself using a code. We'll include a code in the repost of this event so you can sign up for the free basic account. And if you'd like to try out Linked Ops, we can do a demo and an onboarding, actually, not really a demo, but an onboarding to integrate your account, because that's really the most complicated step when you're adding your accounts. You'll want to basically integrate your LinkedIn account with Linked Ops so that you can do all those things. All right, so the dark arts, don't do this at home. This is not advisable, but we do it. So we talked about Sales Navigator search. We can use that search string in our campaigns. You can also use it as a search filter where you can take that search and then use it on a platform like Ops to match the people in that search result with business to business emails and basically create a file that is all the people that came up in your Sales Navigator search. Now you enrich that file with not just their first name, last name, company. It'll pull in their LinkedIn URL, their personal one, their website, but also their business email. And now you can also, if you want, do multi-channel outreach through LinkedOps, or you can just send email campaigns if you really want. First degree connections. So this is another thing where you can use first degree connection results inside of LinkedIn as an audience. So you can send them messaging campaigns through LinkedOps. All right, so not too crazy so far. Competitor data is where things start getting interesting. So not necessarily through our tool yet, but you can take a competitor's company profile or their group profile, and you can use that as an audience. So for example, if you wanted to say, and I'll give you, actually, I think I have a couple of examples in there. If you went into, let's say you went for, you were a competitor of Microsoft, which I'm sure you're not. Microsoft has kind of a massive following probably on LinkedIn. I'm guessing it's 26 million people. That's kind of crazy. We could use another example. Let's say you wanted to compete with HubSpot. You could say, oh, they have 2 million followers. Maybe I don't want all of them, but there are ways that you can just take this, grab this URL, send it to somebody, and they will send you a list back of all the people, their first name, last name, company, and their LinkedIn profile that are following this. And you can, I think, break it down usually by country or region. And then we can use that in LinkDocs, upload it as a CSV as the audience. So you could say, for example, when you get emails like this, or you get LinkedIn messages like this, and I'm going to skip ahead here because I messed up. Hey, I saw you follow Anthropic updates on LinkedIn. I got this message today. That's how they're doing it. They're showing that I'm a follower of Anthropic, or I'm a follower of an Anthropic post. Because you can do really kind of a couple things here. You can pull similar data from a group or a company, so the competitor data, or if you have certain influencers or companies that are posting and they're getting a lot of engagement on their LinkedIn posts, you don't even have to have viral LinkedIn content. You use somebody else's, and anyone that likes or comments, there's a way that you can get a list of those people and pull them in, and we can use that list in LinkDocs as a import, basically as CSV. Um, I won't go beyond that in this, but it's just something where if you just set up an onboarding with us, we can explain beyond that how you do that. And there are even ways to do job postings. And you'll see tools out there like Trigify, for example, um, where they use these signals and pull them in. And this is something we'll may have already added to ops, but we haven't publicly released. But you can basically build a list along those lines, and now you're targeting competitors, followers, or competitors or creators like people that like or comment, engage with their posts, and use that as a high interest based audience. And then job postings are another thing you can pull. You can see that people are posting jobs and you can say, hey, I noticed you're posting for this job. I do that. So you could pull a whole bunch of those companies in contacts. All right. So what about your own content? A common complaint on LinkedIn, and we have it as well, is that you post and nobody sees your stuff. So I have like 15,000 followers on LinkedIn, and maybe 100 to 300 to 400 or 700 people will see my posts. What the heck's going on? And this happened the other day. So this Cindy Gallup is a venture capitalist and she invests in femtech. And she's saying, hey, I have this post has been up for 2 weeks. Now, I know part of it is there are keywords that are banned, and we've seen this. Like, for example, if you post around LinkedIn algorithm, we notice that that gets blacklisted, like it gets suppressed by the algorithm. It doesn't like you talking about it. In this case, she had a post, and I believe it was for two things. One, there was no early engagement in the post. That's a big deal. And there was no early likes or comments. It was not primed to tell the algorithm, hey, keep showing this. So similar to TikTok or Instagram, if, they'll give you a certain number of views and then they'll just shut it down. They'll turn the pipe off if people don't like that are viewing it, don't like it, or they don't engage with it because they're like, oh, nobody's interested. So why am I boosting this up to people? So I suspected that was part of it, and part of it was in the post it referenced OF. It referenced only fans because she's a femtech investor. And I believe for those two reasons is why, even though she has 135 million or 135,000 people that are her followers, only 946 saw the impressions. All right, so how do you get 100 likes and AI generated content or comments? That is the question. So what I did is I did an experiment and I took Cindy's post. I don't have anywhere near 135,000 people, but I did a couple things. I reposted, basically I screenshotted her content, put it in a post, and then I tagged her and she engaged with the post early. I did the exact same thing, by the way, and I didn't tag her and I didn't have anyone engage with the post. My one post got 500 likes or 500 views. This one got 3,100 and people were commenting on it. Okay. So, I mean, it matters because why do we care about this, by the way? Because if someone, you invite them to connect with you, they're going to look at your profile, they're going to look at your company profile, and now they'll look at your content. And if nobody's interested in your content, there's no social value in it in a sense, and they might not accept your invite. But they're more likely to accept your invite if you've got really good content and people are engaging with it. Those two things go hand in hand. The other thing is we showed you that it is possible to pull lists of people who like and comment on your posts. So if they are engaging, then you can infer, hey, they're interested, and not just your post, but other people's posts. So there is a relatability too. It's like, hey, I noticed you engaged with my post on X, not X, but on said topic, whatever topic it is, right? So that's why it matters. So what I did here too is I used a little bit of dark magic. You can see I mentioned this before where you can pull from groups. We've done this where we've built lists and we said, hey, I follow you. I see you follow AppSumo. We just launched a lifetime deal on Dealify, and people went and checked out the link to our Dealify offer, which you can do too, by the way. It is still up on Dealify. So there's a really good lifetime deal on Ops, by the way. Not linked Ops, but Ops itself, which is the AI agent, 100 million records of data. The data marketplace you can redeem credits for. It's like 5,000, 10,000, or 15,000 credits a month, 69 bucks and up. It's kind of crazy. So go check out Dealify, little plug there. But you can use that data really effectively, right? And then we found this thing. We found a way. So not only do we have our own AI agent that will comment on posts, but we found this little thing. And you might want to just check this out. We've been using it fairly effectively where it will help use other users in the network using this plugin. And I don't know who likes this or doesn't like this. I think it's not always looked great upon, but it works very well where there are real users on LinkedIn that have the plugin and it will take your content and tell them to go like it or comment on it. And it'll actually generate comments for them if you ask it. And this works really well where you can get 100, 200 comments on your post. And that early engagement in the post in the first hour or two then amplifies it. So then your first degree connections actually see your content. So that is like a little dark arts trick. Now, I'm gonna skip ahead. You know what? I did a bad job on this because I don't know why I'm missing something, which is the other thing we did is, we talk about like, well, what do you post? And what I want to give away as part of this for you joining this or watching this dark web webinar um, is we've created a GPT and we will send out a link to this and you can use it to generate 1, 10, 20, 30, 40 days worth of content that's very, very good. This is the Viral Hooks work GPT, and we will send this out. Just let us know. We'll put a post out too, and you can comment, and we'll send you the link. But if you want, just DM me or DM Noah or DM Brianna, and or Hattori, and this works very, very well. We just used it to create our own content and it's in our voice, but it follows like certain templates, the way that we write sequences with AI so that they follow our voice and they follow a certain copywriting framework. This follows a bunch of copywriting frameworks and best practices around hooks and delivering value. And you can include your own call to action and it tailors it to, who you are. You can just say, hey, onboard me. And it's going to ask you like, who are you? What industry are you in? What do you sell? What's your main offer? What problems do you solve for clients? Who's your ideal client? And then what transformation result do you help them achieve? And what makes you different from competitors? How would you describe the tone that you want? Friendly. I put satirical in sometimes, professional, bold, inspiring, etc. And what's the main call to action you want? Hey, get this free X and send them to we personally use Beehive. So for example, if you sign up for the Automate and Grow newsletter on Beehive, You will also get a sequence of free stuff. You will get free playbooks, free data, free tools that you can use to automate and grow your business. And you just want that one collection point to get them off of LinkedIn into something. We use Beehive. Some people we've noticed have used Kit or ConvertKit, formerly ConvertKit, very similar, or Substack. But this is the play, whether it's in your content or your outbound messages, your outreach campaigns, the call to action a lot of times should just be this. Once they're in here, you can do a whole bunch of stuff with them. But this is where you can also mimic all your content and post or your long form content so that then you can also create an automation where all your free giveaways go to new users. So that's really kind of going back to this, right? So we want to do LinkedIn outreach and LinkedIn content using linked ops. And our goal is, yes, we want people to either sign up for our thing or book time with us. If they're not ready for that, though, maybe they still look like a customer and we got to give a lot of value to build trust over time. So the second touch is invite them to a webinar, invite them to sign up for your lead magnet through your newsletter, get playbooks or community reports, video. And if you want to write really good content that also drives into this, we're giving away that GPT for free. So we will send out a link that you can just sign up for that and use it at your will and let us know how it turns out. Our content is turning out great. It follows our voice and the framework. And that's really overall how you can hack LinkedIn to get the best data, how to create great content and get that content seen. And if you'd like to have help, we actually have an offer right now that is, I think, pretty good, which is our Linked Ops Pro. And we'll actually give you the Pro 5K plan that you're getting on the lifetime deal at Dealify, bundled in with this. And if you want white glove setup of all your campaigns, all your data, and give you a human resource on top of all the AI resources on the platform. This is normally $2.99 a month, but right now, as part of this, you can, for joining this webinar, if you just use the coupon code Valet, you will get this for $100 off. So $199 a month, no setup, month to month, and you will get white glove setup of all your LinkedIn outreach campaigns. You will get 30 days of LinkedIn posts through the GPT that you can then schedule through Linked Ops. And I'm not sure if we'll set that up for you. We'll have to think about that. We're building a tool that will automatically inject it. That's quite a bit of posts to set up because you're going to want your own images and stuff. But it'll generate all the posts themselves. And then you can use Linked Ops to schedule it out according to your desires. We got to figure out a way to connect those two things. But well, we are working on something called viralhooks.work. Not ready for prime time yet, but we'll use the same tool so that it will schedule it out for you. But you will get the 30 days of LinkedIn posts. And actually, probably beyond that, you'll get every 30 days, you can generate another 30. All the content scheduling, LinkedIn outreach, it will work for multi-channel. So if you do put your one or more email accounts in there, you can send email out to your lists as well as part of your sequences. You can build that into the sequences. And then you also get the ops sequence writer and the AI agent Valet inside of that to automate everything. And even though it says no, we will give you a growth manager to do initial setup of your account at no charge and only for $199 a month. So out of this, thank you for joining and watching this on the dark web or wherever you are watching it. You can get access to this deal again using the coupon code Valet. Just book a 15-minute onboarding if you are interested in this. Failing that, you are welcome to sign up for Ops for free using Free Basic as the Stripe checkout. That will also work on just the data account. That will get you 250 records a month for free. Our AI agent Valet. It'll also get you the access to the marketplace, which you can redeem your tokens in, and the sequence writer at no cost. And if you'd like help doing your content and your outreach, let us know, and we would be happy to get you onboarded with that. All right, so thank you very much. We will also try to make this available in multiple channels, so you can see it on LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever they don't ban it, and probably just the dark web from the looks of it. Thanks for attending, and we hope to see you on our next webinar.